All right, we're live. Welcome to the 300th episode of Shooting the Shit Uncensored. Tonight, we're going to be celebrating Piers, the man who every week comes on here and gives you absolutely unbelievable entertainment for free every single week. And we are joined by two of his closest friends in the wrestling industry. We've got Robbie Zucco and Vinnie Vain.
Yo!
Welcome, boys.
Hello. What's happening?
How are we? Not a whole lot. Oh, yeah, I've introduced myself, don't I?
Exactly.
Forgot to do that. I'm the budget Piers Austin. I'm Piers Austin from episode 1. Charles.
Charles in charge.
Charles in charge. Oh, who changed that? I like that. I'll take that. That's nice. All right. So, boys, how are we doing tonight?
Good yourself.
Yeah, not too bad. Been on camera for a while, so it's a little bit odd, but we'll get through it. Apparently, I'm in charge, so I've got to get this thing on the road, don't I?
Yeah. Well, no. Look, it's pretty much
do it.
Basically, what it is just it's us talking about our good friend Piers and what he's pretty much done, and I'm excited about it. How about you, Vin?
I'm excited. I want to try and get him cancelled, man. If that's the goal of tonight, let's make it 300 and out.
Well, speaking of Piers, let's bring him in. Let's get him in here, and we'll get this thing started.
All right, beautiful.
Oh,
There he is.
Oh,
300.
Piers!
What's good, boys? What's good?
Congratulations.
Thank you.
He made it.
That's fantastic. That's a great effort.
3 years, bro. It's taking me to get to that number, bro. 3 years.
Wow. 3 years.
Interesting.
Such a mark.
Been a long time.
Oh,
You hit the
300.
mark. No, that's awesome, Chris. That's fantastic. I'm really happy that you've done that. Yeah, great job.
Thanks, man. It's been a lot of fun. I've made a lot of friends through this podcast. You three included.
You said we were friends. You're my agent. There's no friends in money.
Yeah, that's true. But I want to give a special shout out to Charles because I feel like not many people know who Charles is. But Charles is the guy who.
Thank you.
Charles is the guy who does a lot of the clips. He does a lot of the images that you see, the advertisements and stuff like that, and really is the backbone of the podcast. And without Charles, there pretty much wouldn't really be a podcast, to be honest. So he does bring a lot to the table, and I do appreciate him. So, I do take the piss out of him a fair bit, but, Charles, you the man, bro.
I appreciate
Thanks for that.
Come on, Charles. Keep it up.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Curiosity.
I'm in charge. I don't think that's going to last too long.
Well, we need to
I
ask
think so.
all these questions. Do you have anything specifically you want to tell him?
Well, I think I've said just about everything we can, haven't I, in that terrible intro? I thought I did justification. I'm not going to be taking his job anytime soon. Let's say that.
Hey, man, I thought
That was horrendous.
it was decent, bro. It was decent intro.
It could always be worse.
I'll ask you a question. What possessed you to get into podcasting to begin with?
You know what? I ideally was just wanting to talk shit about wrestling and interact with people and stuff like that. And to be honest, I was in these and this is going to sound really fucking marky, but I was in these belt collectors. I would see No, but I would see the fucking belts, right? And to me, like in wrestling, when I was a kid growing up, the belts were like the coolest fucking thing. So I'd like join these groups and look at these belts. Little did I realize there's like the belt collecting community, if you will, is like one of the most like insane groups of fucking people that you'll meet. Like a lot of great, amazing.
It's crazy.
People, like a lot of like twisted fucking human beings, bro. You know what I mean? Like just
It's
insane.
wrestling, bro. They're all twisted.
Hey,
So-
fringe of society, that's for sure.
So anyway, this guy that was running like a live Facebook podcast kind of thing in these belt groups and shit like that, he hit me up and said, "Hey, do you want to come and be a guest on this shit?" And like my one was like one of the higher numbers that he had at the time or some shit like that. And people were like, "Hey, I want to see more of this guy." So that was like, I'd known Charles then as well. And I'm like, all right, man, well, fuck, how do I start this thing? And ideally it was like, yeah, like if I'm going to start it, I'm not doing this just for fun. Like I'll do it because I love doing it. It's going to be fun. But like, is there going to be a monetary end game for me? Like I didn't do it for the money, but it's like at a certain point early on when I was like, okay, shit, like I'm saying I can get certain levels of guests. I might not have the massive platform that I have now, but like I have something here that is like I think I'm good at this where I could do this for a living. And it was probably like third or fourth episode in, I sort of spoke to Charles. I'm like, bro, like, you know, for me, this is like, I think we can make money on this and this is how we can do it. And I said, and this is not going to be a quick grow. And we both knew that coming in, like we both knew that podcasting is never going to be, no one comes in unless you come from like being on a major stage, like working for a company like a WWE or a Fox Sports or, you know, one of those big brand things where you're in front of a camera on a daily basis. You're not going to be able to just go and start a podcast or a YouTube channel and instantly have 1 million subscribers. It just doesn't work like that. And it comes down to a lot of advertisement. You got to put the work in, all this sort of stuff. But it's like, for me, it was like, if I'm going to do all this, there has to be a monetary gain at the end of the day.
Right. Yeah, no. Well, you're natural at it. You know what I mean? That's a good thing. You know that I think you've got that. You're natural on the mic. You know, you've got the whole Mean Gene look happening, which is fantastic. And if you can be as good as him, you'll be great. So you know, keep up the good job. So I like it.
For you guys, how did you and Charles meet? How did this, you know, connection?
Yeah, how did you meet?
Ah, fucking hell.
How did I meet you, Charles?
I was actually, no, you know what? I was talking about this earlier tonight. I think it was through one of those groups. I was literally saying, because it was right around.
Marks.
I know. No, it was during, I don't know, was it COVID? Had COVID just started or, I don't know, it was around that time. And fuck, I had no one had anything to do. So I was just like buying shit and like I was just bored. So I just buy a bunch of stuff and whatever. And then Piers, I don't know how he messaged me or he added me or I don't know how it worked. And then he slid into my DMs and that was it. The rest is history.
Now we're getting somewhere.
There we go. You see the photos, boys. Don't worry.
But Charles was actually on episode 1.
Oh, was he?
That was actually, this is an episode, like I've probably done more than 300 episodes. No, yeah, it was.
Oh, fuck yeah.
More than 300 episodes. Not everything has been still documented. So
it was, well, we've still got it all. It's all there somewhere. All the episodes. Because we did a bunch of like round table stuff and all this other shit. And it was not good. I'll be honest. It was fun, but it wasn't good. And so when Piers started getting better and better, we kind of just hid that stuff away. No one will ever see it unless you pay for it.
Oh, fair enough.
But no, so it's been good. It's been good.
Good.
That's good. So Piers, talk to me about the wrestling. Tell me about what possessed you to get into this crazy business, and tell me, when did it all start? When did you get the bug?
I think I always loved, professional wrestling. Like as a kid growing up, like I was always obsessed with it, and then like I think from like the early to mid 90s, it sort of fell away a little bit because I don't think it was easily accessible to TV for us at that time. And to be honest, I probably wasn't actively going searching for it unless I saw like a random VHS tape at Video Easy.
Blockbuster.
Blockbuster, yeah. But like when I like probably like the late 90s, 96, 97 when I first got back into it. But like for me, it was always about the bad motherfuckers. Like I like the heel shit. Like even as a kid, when I saw like Hulk Hogan coming out, like I liked when he like seeing him getting the shit beaten out of him. And then you know what I mean? Like, but you know what I mean? Like to me, Roddy Piper just captivated me. You know what I mean? Like Hulk Hogan was like, holy shit, what is this? And then I saw Roddy Piper cut a promo and I saw Piper like, you know, hit Snooker with the coconut, all that sort of shit. And I was like, wow, like this guy can be like I wasn't saying a fucking asshole at that age, but I was going, this guy can be mean like that. And like, he's so cool when he does it. You know what I mean? Like to me, I thought that was the coolest thing ever. Whereas like Hulk Hogan,
there's no Hogan. You know what I mean? Without Piper, there's no Hogan. You needed such a badass guy that was incredible on the mic, and he just drew people in. He just made you want to hate him. So without him, you got no Hogan. That's my opinion. So that's fantastic. It's good.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I'm not a dinosaur, so I didn't grow up watching that era of wrestling. Okay.
Oh, no, don't worry. How'd you boys get into it? How'd you get into the whole industry?
Ben, go.
With me, I started a couple of years back. Just something I always wanted to do. I did the good wog boy thing. I went to school, I went to university, I got my degree, and then I got married, and then it was like, all right, so what am I going to do now? And then I always had an interest in pro wrestling growing up. I was that like weird kid in high school that liked wrestling and then still liked it after high school. And then I thought I'll look it up and see if it's available to do here. And I found a few places and I dabbled a bit here, a bit there. And then eventually I found somewhere I was happy to train with, purely because it was conveniently located around the corner from my house, like literally around the corner. So I was like, all right. And then the rest is history, man. It's just it's kind of taken over and been a big part, and I've enjoyed the ride so far. And look, like I don't want to sound all cheesy and mushy, but you meet good people along the way. Like Piers is a good mate, Robbie's a good mate. I enjoy. It's not about the matches and doing the shows. I generally enjoy going to a show knowing that these two bullheads are going to be there and we can have a bit of fun. For a night. Beats going out, drinking, getting wasted. Doing lines, whatever it is people do. It's a healthy habit, so to speak.
Yeah, no, can definitely be doing worse things. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Charles Robbie just broke into the business. He's about what, 2 years?
Yeah, he's green. He's green.
Yeah,
he's
green, is he?
Yeah.
I go. I'll get there one day. So
he's only 19, but he's had a rough life.
I'm the guy. The fucking T-Rex of the business.
No, they call me for a reason, bro.
99 is when I started. 1999.
Holy shit.
Shit.
Yeah. So still going. Body's still kicking on, which is good.
Were you 18? 18 at the time?
He was 30.
Yeah, 42. I was 19 years old.
Oh wow!
Fucking hell.
So 19 years old. How did I actually get into the business? Oh, I went to a ride at the Roundhouse show. IWA had that, and the main guy was Phil Picasso versus AJ Freely. And Phil Picasso was this big. They were both massive, big guys. And that chest that he has, but he was a lot bigger than what he was, and he just looked scary as fuck. And I was like, shit, is this what you got to do to be the main guy? You know what I mean? Because at the time, there was the wrestling side of it, but then there was the entertainment side, and Phil was the actual entertainment side with AJ, and they just went out there and massacred each other. So I'm there going, fuck, if I want to get into this business, it's going to be hard. So that was my first introduction to wrestling there. And then I went to training school and trained with Mark Mercedes within 3 months, my first match. So it was
holy shit.
Rest is history. So,
bro, I gotta say, like AJ Freely and Phil Picasso, like if no one is ever possibly going to be able to see any of their matches because I don't think they were filmed, but fuck me, man, these guys. When I tell you, bro, I was sitting front row back in like 2001 because my buddy was wrestling for Mark back then. And these guys were in a dog collar match, and they were like right up against things, and they weren't throwing working punches, bro. Like they were. Picasso's grabbed Freely like that, and he's like bang, 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 and then Freely would get out of it and just uppercut and hook and like just duck and move.
No gigging, man. No gigging at all. Thought everything was the hard way with them. You know what I mean? Everything was just brutal. And they're going, fuck, you know what I mean? That's a lot to live up to, especially. But obviously, you know what's happened. You know, Phil body's just completely broken down from that. So that was my first experience from pro wrestling.
And Freely was a pretty boy as well, huh? Like he was like
he was a Kiwi, decent look, good body, and man, he could work. He was stiff. Like, you know, if you thought you would get cancelled in this day and age, you'd get cancelled for sure, because he used to just stiff the fuck out of you, like hurt. And you know, when you kick somebody, right? People kick, you know, like in the guts these days. Everyone's kicking in the guts.
And do the leg slap.
Do the leg slap. Hey, if you're this close to the mat, your face is this close to the mat, and there's footage of it, and you got him stomping on Phil and just go. It's almost like his head turns into a grape and comes back up. And you see Phil, you know what I mean? So that he was brutal that way. You know what I mean? Because he wanted everything to be convincing. It was tough, but yeah.
Who was your first match against, Rob?
Me?
Yeah.
Billy Cole. You know Billy Cole?
I was at that match.
Whereabouts?
I think I was there. Oh fuck.
We had a few at the Roundhouse. I don't remember when my first match was.
I think I seen you. That's when I first saw you wrestle. Was at the Roundhouse against Billy Cole.
Yeah. So that was real fun. So I wrestled him for like 6 months straight, and he was such a good worker. And then I wrestled your buddy, who got you into the business, Piers, or you actually were mates with him, Mehdi Baziri. He was my second opponent.
Really?
So, yeah. So that was I had a match, and it was just weird because when I wrestled Billy Cole, Billy Cole's, you know, like me, we're just very similar. But then wrestling Mehdi was a totally different kettle of fish. He was a lot more bigger, strong moves. You know, it was just different. So it was very interesting. Hang on, joking.
The podcast is going to have its first victim of the evening.
Joking to death. Anyway. So I believe you actually knew Mehdi from what? You just you were great friends growing up?
No. So basically, I was I think 18 or 19, and I was working at cash converters at the time.
Yeah.
And this woman came in, and she started working there, and she must have said like, "Oh yeah, blah blah blah," like my husband's a wrestler, and someone's gone, "Oh, you should tell Piers," like, because at the time I was a huge fucking mark, like. I didn't even know what a mark was, but I was one at 18, right? Like I was like, yeah, I was all in. So she's come up to me. She's like, oh, hey, nice to meet you. My name is like blah, blah, blah. Like, I don't want to say her name because she might not want her personality to be known public, whatever. And then I'm like, hey, nice to meet you. And she's like, oh, by the way, like I heard you're really into wrestling. I said, yeah. And she goes, well, my husband wrestles. And I just like, at that moment, the whole world stopped. I was like, when you say wrestle, you mean professional, not like the amateur stuff with the head stuff. And she's like, no, like, yeah, he comes out to music and he plays a character. And I'm just like, and I'm just like, that's so cool. All right, cool. She's like, yeah, blah, blah, blah. She's like, actually, he's going to training on Saturday. Why don't I tell him to meet you here if you've got the day off and you go with him? And I was like, fuck, all right, cool. So I've never met this dude before. This is before we had mobile phones, but I didn't really have this dude's number. I didn't know what this guy looked like. And this guy is like probably 10 years older than me. So probably not, but maybe 7 years older than me. And he rocks up this guy who's like, 6'3" and about 130 kilo of muscle. And he's this big Persian guy. And he goes, massive. Hey, mate, you Piers? I go, yeah, I'm doing a terrible accent there. He goes, okay, buddy, let's go. And, man, I was so fucking excited. Like, I was sitting there like a giddy fucking schoolgirl, like just talking his ear off about wrestling. And Mehdi's just like, And I'm like, oh, you know, and I'm just like, as a dumb 18, 19-year-old kid would just not reading the fucking room, right? So I did all that. Then we go and we pick up Frank the Tank. Yeah. So Frank the Tank gets in the car. He's another, like, he was a wrestler at the time. I saw you roll your eyes, but
he's fucking cancelled. That's all. That's all I got to say about that guy.
I don't even know who that is.
Yeah, we'll skill past.
Neither do I, but I want to hear the story now.
So anyway, we get to the training thing, which is like, I can't even remember where it is because I was just like so excited. I wasn't even paying attention where the fuck I was going. And we get there and it's like, I meet Mark Mercedes and I meet Tyrone Townsend.
Yeah.
And Tyrone was like the business guy, right? And Tyrone's like, yeah, you know, like blah, blah, blah. And I'm going in there going, fuck, this is great. Like, I'm just like marking the fuck out of there. Because I was immature, bro. I had no fucking idea. I'm sitting there talking to this guy. Like, everybody goes, okay, man, go do some rolls. We did some rolls and shit like that. And he's like, okay, man, what do you think? I'm like, yeah, man, I think this is pretty cool. I want to sign up. He's like, okay, cool. So you ready to pay $3,000 now? Or would you like to pay next week when you sign up and do your first session? I'm like, and then at that point, my heart just went, there's like an 18, 19, bro, earning like $100 a week or like $200 or whatever it was I was earning, maybe 400, whatever it is. I can't remember.
It's a lot of money.
My heart fucking sank. And I went to my parents and I knew the answer's going to be no. My dad's gone, get the fuck out of here. I'm going to give you $3,000. Fucking shit. That was his fucking response. And I'm like,
I nearly reeled you in.
yeah. And I'm like, Dad, like, yeah, blah, blah, blah. Like, it's really cool. It's like, you have to go see it. And he's like, I don't want to fucking go see it. No, I'm not going to fucking give you money. I'm like, all right. And I was like, Mom, you know, like, this is what I really want to do. She's like, Piers, I've seen you fucking nearly break your neck playing football. I've seen you get knocked out doing Muay Thai. She's like, I don't want to see you break your neck professional wrestling. No, I'm not endorsing this shit either. And I'm like, fuck. So then it was like, it was funny because after that, like me and Medi became really good friends and like Medi started bringing me along to shows and stuff like that. And I was hanging out and Medi was like cool because he wanted to like train me because he could see how much I wanted it. And he was like, well, there's nowhere for me to really train you. And we tried to look at like certain places to go that had some mats and shit like that, where it was like nothing could really eventuate from it. So, but it is funny. I remember once at an IWA show, Medi was like, hey man, you're going to be my manager today. We're going to put like a fucking turban around your head and shit. His whole thing was he speaks Persian, right? And like at the time, I'm wearing a pair of fucking tearaway Adidas tracksuit pants and a matching fucking Adidas t-shirt and a fucking Arab head guard, right? And it's like, no, it's not going to work. You take it off. He goes, you'll be my translator. You're like, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, all right, cool. That's all it has to. He goes, all you have to do is just go, yeah, this is Medi Basiri, the baddest man in Australian wrestling. He goes, I'll grab the mic. I'll say something in Persian. We get out. He comes out, wrestles. And he was wrestling Mark Mercedes, right? And this is before the show starts. This is how dumb I was, right? Like I'm thinking, Medi's telling me this, and he's telling Tyrone, and Tyrone's going, "Yeah, it's a great fucking idea. Yeah, fucking do it, right?" Like he's probably sitting there going, "This is going to be a fucking pop and a half for Mark at the time." And then like just before the show starts, like because now it's like I know what goes into putting a match together and shit like that. That you don't just have a manager fucking out there for the sake of fucking having, you know what I mean? Like that shit doesn't just happen like that. Right?
Yeah.
It's not supposed to. And then Mark comes up. This is when he had the long hair and he was like the baddest man, like looks so like just fucking pure evil and scary as fuck. Exactly. And he comes up and he's like talking to me. He's like, hey, all right, cool, man. Yeah, let's have a good match. Blah, blah, blah. And he doesn't even look at me. He goes, who's that? and Medi just goes, Piers? And I go, hi, I'm Piers. I'm his manager tonight. And I put my hand out and Mark's still looking at me. He goes, no, you're not. Go out there and sit in the crowd. And then like I was about to go, and I went, okay. I didn't say shit. I just went, okay, and I fucking left because it was like, you know what? I just got fucking schooled, and it was like that was not my place to fucking be. And
at least you realized.
Tyro knew.
But you know what? Tyro fucking set it up. He set that shit up.
Yeah, and he was we going, Mark's gonna get a fucking, as soon as Mark gets wind of this. Yeah, go for it. Because Tyro was always the prankster, man, with everything. He'll let things fucking go.
But Mark was super intimidating back then. Like, I remember being.
Yeah.
I mean, back then he still is, man. Like,
No,
he still scares the shit out of me a little bit.
He's a baby compared to what? No, he's a bear now. He's very tame compared to what he used to be. You know what I mean? Before,
you know what? Like, I understand that shit now, Rob, because back then I'm a fucking 18-year-old Mark hanging around his fucking show that he's trying to fucking run. Now I'm fucking a little bit older, a bit more wised up to the fucking business. I get it. He's a promoter on fucking show day, and I'm some fucking kid running around just like, hey,
exactly.
Wrestlers.
Exactly.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, he didn't have fucking that time for that shit. So I get it.
And how many times do we see new people come in the business now and we're going, what the fuck? You know what I mean? You want to fucking do what? Like, get the fuck out of here. Like, you can't. You know what I mean? So it's the exact same principle. It was the same back then.
Yeah, man. But you know what? Like, I appreciate that shit because I learned a lesson back then very, very early on. Not just in wrestling, bro, but in life, because it's like I feel like I didn't really learn real wrestling lessons till probably the last few years when I was actually being invited around it. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. But like, I feel like then that was like, okay, when you're in someone else's house, you need to be respectful and you need to fucking listen and you need to, you know what I mean? Like, know when to talk and know when to shut the fuck up and not what to say.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean? And that's kind of what I took from that. You know what I mean? Like, but I'm sure if we asked Mark about that, he'd probably have no fucking memory of that ever happening.
No, because he did it so many times to so many different individuals. I seen him kick so many fucking people. He walks up to him, who are you? You get out, please. No, he's just so, he didn't give a fuck. You know, he did not care.
But I feel like that's missed though, because you see people like at shows bringing like people backstage and shit, bro. Like, dude, like I would never, ever, ever bring my wife or my children, or even if like a friend, like if Charles was in Sydney at a show that I was working on, bro, stay over there. If you need me, text me or ask someone to come and get me, whatever you need. Just don't go back there, bro. You know what I mean? Like, because I don't really feel like I belong back there, bro. So someone who's never definitely doesn't.
You know?
Yeah. Culture's changed, I guess, in the last 20 years. Is it safe to say 20 years? Yeah, like compared to what it was. Like, it's just a different kettle of fish now, man. Like, I think I'm not going to name it, but we worked the show recently, and like there were all these people backstage, and I'm like, what the fuck you all doing here? Like, like these, like it's not proper. You know what I mean? Like it's bad. You gotta separate. You gotta separate fan and like performer.
They haven't been taught, Vin. That's the why. That's the reason why they haven't been taught certain etiquette. It used to be like an unwritten rule, but you learn as you go type of deal.
Yeah.
But a lot of these people aren't getting smartened up. That's the thing. And if they do get smartened up, they're like cupcakes. They crumble.
Yeah,
they
they
don't
cry.
really fucking get upset. You get cancelled. So it's a totally different society we are in now. That doesn't mean it doesn't still do it. I'll fucking do it. Don't you worry. I'll still do it. If
you're smarting people up.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I have to.
Yeah.
Being
You've
around
probably
long
smartened
enough.
me up once or twice before anyway. I just don't remember, but I'm sure you have.
I don't remember either. Have I?
I don't know, maybe. I don't know.
Well, you obviously didn't do a good enough job, Rob, because he doesn't remember it. So maybe you got to slap him harder next time.
No, I'm just a dickhead.
Well, that's our problem. He doesn't remember.
More important things, man.
Wow, that took a turn.
I'm just being an arse. Come on. Rob knows I love him. I listen to you, Rob. I like you. I listen to you. You speak, I listen. I pay attention. Piers not so much, but me, I listen.
Hey, come on, man. I'm a great listener.
Yeah,
yeah.
great listener.
Yeah. putting
Bravo.
over my listening ability. Thank you.
There we go. Beautiful.
There you go.
Great.
I'm going to ask you a question, Piers, if that's all right.
Of
Okay.
course.
So you did
ask the question. I was waiting.
like, let's call it the Mercedes experience, yeah?
Yeah.
When did you phase out of like indie wrestling? Because like I only got to know you after like the first COVID wave in 2020, and I met you through Sammy Russo, you know, Psychotic, and I haven't seen, I'm not saying I've worked around, I've been around, done some shows, but I've never come across you before. So how did you go from Mercedes there to, you know, where you are now, so to speak, to get back into wrestling and you know, the podcasting and all that jazz?
Yeah, I mean, I think like for the most part, like, I fell out probably after a year or two from being around. Like I think Medi was wrestling less and less.
Yeah.
So it was like, okay, well, I would basically just go in and tag along with him to shows and just to be his ride along sort of person. And then like I met a couple of other trainers like throughout the time. Like I went and met with Andy Harpus, who his prices were much more reasonable. However, for a young guy who didn't have a driver's license for a car, to get to the middle of where he was training people was extremely difficult from where I was living. So it was unfortunate circumstances, and I just went, you know what, maybe this wrestling dream, you know what I mean? When people ask me, I just go, look, bro, I just didn't want it bad enough, because I think if you want it bad enough, like anything, you're going to make it happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, but like I got back into it, like once I started podcasting, and I was doing, like I got lucky, I would say, because I got a lot of like well-known name, popular talent straight off the get-go. Like I think my second interview was with Thunder Rosa, who was the NWA Women's Champion at the time.
Okay.
Then a week later, I had Zicky Dice, who was the NWA Television Champion. Then I had Tim Storm, former NWA World's Champion. And then I had like a bunch of like a few deathmatch stars on. I'm just trying to think of who else.
I think once you had Al Snow, that's where it started to take off, big time.
What does everybody want?
Yeah, like I think once I interviewed Al Snow, I also wanted to say
that was a big one.
Like I saw that like there was a little bit of more interest starting to spike on my socials and stuff like that. So I was like, well, you know what? Like, why don't I put out more content and like try and do interviews with Australian talent as well, which then gives because at that time, most of my majority of my viewers and listeners were from the US and the UK. So I had zero, like literally much. If I could go back and look at our analytics, I can show you that we would have next to none of Australian like viewer base. So,
but also back then there was a lot of the guys in those groups were doing interviews, so everyone was just sharing the same fucking people. So you know, you'd listen to Al Snow on 10 different podcasts, you'd be like, well, fuck, you're going to hear the same story so many times.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and that's also why like I wanted to do something different, where it's like I don't want to sit here and ask the marky fucking questions that you've answered 10 fucking times over and over before, right?
No, you just want to mark out, right?
No, but that's another thing I'm going to get to. That's another thing I'm going to get to. But no, I wanted to have a conversation, because the one thing that pisses me off when I see or watch or listen to an interview, and like Hannibal, who has a great platform, and he has a very passionate platform that support him blindly, and I think that's great because numbers don't lie. He has the numbers, right? But I think he's boring as fuck as an interviewer, because it's like, well, yeah, can you tell me about the time where Hogan then like in the locker room, like his interview style and stuff was so fucking monotonous. And like I found that with a lot of like standard interviewers, not just in wrestling podcasting, but just in interviewers in general, were very monotonous in their tone. And it's like when the person's talking, they're like, you can see them going,
yeah, social media, yeah, Facebook,
like just looking at a notepad, like they're just like, shut the fuck up, spit your answer out. I've got another 10 questions to ask you. And I always found it so disrespectful, and especially when I'd see interviewers interrupt someone answering a question with another question, and it's like I was like, man, just flow. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's what I wanted to do. Where I was like, hey, and you know what? In the world of wrestling and stuff like that, all that clickbait shit that like people want to fucking get out of certain people, that shit comes up. Like I had Jimmy Jacobs on the podcast, right? Like he got fired from WWE for taking a selfie with the Elite out the front of when the Elite tried to do the Monday night invasion.
Yeah.
Right. And they did all that. So Jimmy Jacobs, who was a producer, went outside, took a photo. Big story. He ended up getting fired because a selfie of him ran up on social media at the front of Monday Night Raw with the Elite guys, right? So he was on my podcast and we were talking, and like out of nowhere he goes, hey, you know what's a really fun story that I got to tell you about? How I got fired from WWE. And it was like, okay, cool. You know what I mean? And it was just something that happened so organically. It wasn't like, so, yeah, tell me, Jimmy, about that. And it was like, when that happened, I realized, okay, when people get comfortable with you, they're going to want to give you as much information and as time as they have from you. So I've had people go, look, I'll give you 20 minutes or I'll give you 40. In my early days, I would take it, right? But I'd have someone say, I can only give you 40 minutes or an hour. And like, in some of those early days, I had a majority of the time going, I'm having too much fun, man. Like, let's just fucking keep rolling, dude. Let's go. Like, you know what I mean? So that to me was like, okay, cool. They're engaged in this. This isn't just another interview for them. So that was an important factor.
Okay. Well, let me ask you something as an interviewer, right? So I've, you know, I'm not going to bullshit you and say I watch every single thing you put out.
No,
you know,
I know you do.
Yeah, but like as an interviewer, right? Like one of the things I noticed, and we've discussed this, you know, on a personal level, is especially when you interview Australian talent, everyone's got the same story. And this is no disrespect to anyone you've interviewed, but it's, you know, like I was always a fan, and then I was bullied. Like there's always some type of catalyst and challenge everyone's had to overcome, and then they found wrestling and it saved their life, and now I'm a success, and my dream's to go to the WWE, and it's all the same fucking thing. Now, how do you as a podcast, and like I'm in that group too, like I've said the same thing, you know, I was a dream and this is my goal, and I add to that bullshit statistic. But how do you as a podcaster like keep it creative and keep it interesting? Because like I've said to you, I'm like, let me guess, bro, like X person bullied, found wrestling, saved their life, goals to do this now. Like it's all the same. So how do you as a podcaster keep it creative and try and get the best out of the subject matter so you can create engaging content, which you have? I'm being a prick. I'm just saying.
No. I think it comes down to, I think everyone's experiences have been different. They can be similar to a certain extent, but I think ultimately they're also different. But it's also comes down to listening. So there's certain things where it's like, and that's why like if people like really watch my stuff, you can see me listening to stuff and go, let's go back 2 minutes. You said this, right? So they'll say something and there'll be something that'll pique my interest and that'll sit in the back of my brain.
Right.
And I'm not going to interrupt them. I'm going to let them continue to get out their thought, their monologue, what they're trying to get across. But that thought's there and I'm going, okay, cool. And like if they finish saying something and want me to rebuttal what they've said or to respond to that, I will. And we'll talk about it. But then I've still got that thing in the back of my head. So the next thing it comes up is like, so when you said this happened, talk me through it. What exactly was going through your mind when it happened? Like what do you think was the reason behind that happened? So there's different questions that I'm going through, right? With that one little thing in the back of my mind, which gives me about 5 or 6 different questions to ask off of that.
Sure.
So it's paying attention. It's listening to what your person's talking about, because everyone is an individual. Everyone is different. People can have similar stories, but when you're if you're not paying attention, you can think this is the same old bullshit. But when you sit there and you pay attention, you listen and you break it down and you break the subject matter down as well. And I don't mean break them down as in like fucking destroy them, but break them down as in like breaking those walls down, because a lot of time, and especially in professional wrestling, people put up these barriers and these walls, right? So it's important to get a level of comfort. Now, if I had someone who came in with these walls up and I started going, so tell me when you got into wrestling. And who was your first match with? How did you feel after your first match? And when did you decide that you wanted to like then become a champion? Oh, when the booker told you. Okay. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't want to just like, if I ask those questions, then there's certain things that people don't get a level of comfort with. And they're just going, okay, yeah. And they just go into their mind going, yeah, this is what I do. This is another fucking podcast where I'm getting asked the same fucking shit.
Yeah. Okay. So conversation is your main thing. You gotta make it conversation, make it organic, nothing fake. Try and keep it rolling. Yeah, it's good. It's good stuff.
Yeah, man. It's constantly having a conversation with someone. It's like how we're talking now. We're not playing characters. We're not pretending to be something we're fucking not. We're just four fucking dudes having this conversation. And I feel like you can do that with other people. Like when I had Stevie Richards on my podcast, Stevie, who is honestly one of my mentors in this podcast game and someone who Charles knows firsthand how much he has helped me both personally and professionally. He, you know, when I sit there and have a podcast with him, wrestling is a 5-minute part of that. You know what I mean? We're talking about other things because there's more important shit in his life than wrestling. And I want to talk about what's important to him, not something he did 25, 30 years ago that he's already spoken about probably 3 billion times, where I want to know what his new Stevie Richards fitness business is all about. You know, what are you doing there? Like, you know what I mean, bro? And but the same thing, like no one turns around and goes, wow, what a shit interview that was. You know what I mean? It's like, I can give you the same old shit that he's already answered, but it's going to do nothing for me. It's going to do nothing for him. And at the end of the day, it's just another video you're going to see of him telling the same story.
So then why would the fans watch it? Like, what do we get? We already know.
Yeah. And that's the thing as well. Like, you know, for me, I'm probably more, what's the word I want to say? Not selective, but like I'm more
selective. That's all right. That's the word.
Look, it's just like if I'm going to interview someone, if I'm going to do a podcast with someone, I look at it as like, okay, what do they have to say? What is their story? Who are they? And what are they going to be about? And that to me is like, and are they going to be able to come on and have an engaging conversation with myself or myself and Rob or myself and anyone else I decide to come on and bring as a co-host? You know, so to me, that's all factors that come into it where it's like when I'm looking for a potential guest and it's like, I want to be able to bring someone on who's going to be able to give me an entertaining conversation, not necessarily someone that I'm going to agree with 100% of the time. I've had interviews with people which has gone pear-shaped, not pear-shaped, but like it hasn't been a fun, rosy interview. It's been things where we've disagreed and gone back and forth on and stuff like that. And there's people I've called straight bullshit too as well. You know what I mean?
Like, who were those people you spoke to? Who was the worst?
Bro, like I don't think I've ever had a bad interview, bro, to be honest.
Well,
because
who was the toughest interview? Who was the one that you're pulling teeth just to get fucking answers from?
I mean, fuck.
Who was that? Who was that bloke from the NWA that you struggled with? It was early on, and you called me. You're like, that was fucking tough.
That's right. That was fuck. What was his? I can't even remember.
I can't remember his bloody name.
He was tag. He was in the NWA. He was tag team partners with Bram. Fuck. I'm gonna have to look him up.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Well, he just wouldn't answer. He just had the personality of what was it?
He was so like, bro, like, where's his name? I just got to bring his name up. It was just like Royce Isaacs. That's him. So this guy comes in, right? And like, I do my research. I found out like his dad is Jewish, that he really wants to go wrestle in Israel because that would mean so much to him. And this is like shit when he first started in his career that he said this shit. And I want to ask if he's actually achieved that. So I got that bit of data. And then it was like him and Bram or Tom Latimer dropped the NWA tag team titles to the Midnight Express, to the Rock and Roll Express. I think it was. Was it Rock and Roll Express?
I don't know.
One of the expresses, I don't know.
It was one of the.
How old How old was this?
No,
guy?
no. So they did it recently, bro. Like,
Oh, okay, yeah, okay, yeah. On the NWA, what's it called? Is it
the Rock and Roll Express, yeah, it was Ricky Morton. So they dropped the tag titles to the Rock and Roll Express for their record 9th or 10th time of NWA champions, right? And I asked him, I was like, man, how is it working the Rock and Roll Express, man? That would have been quite an amazing night, and also being a part of history, them gaining the titles for 10 years. And he goes, yeah, it was fucking great, bro. We fucking lost, and we lost the titles. Good shit. And I went, right. Okay, then.
Thank you, mate.
Yeah, thanks for that. And I was like, oh, so I understand that, you mentioned before, like that your father's, from Israel, and it will be very important for you to wrestle in Israel. Is that still important for you? And have you been able to do that yet? And he goes, yeah, I guess it's important for me. I want to wrestle all around the world. Like, I was like, all right. Yeah, bro.
That's the end of the interview. Done.
Yeah, bro. And you know what? Like, honestly, dude, like at that point, I was like, bro, fuck this. I don't want to do podcasts. I want to talk to these. Like, what the fuck was that, bro? I remember, Charles, I called you after that going, bro, what the like, because that's when we did all our shit live. Because if I didn't do that live, I would have kept that episode as a fucking last resort type shit going, yeah, I can drop that if I want to have a lazy week, right? But like, back then, I was just like, fuck it. Everyone can have everything straight away. Do 7 podcasts in a week, all fucking live. Take it all. But yeah, that was one of the most difficult fucking ones, bro, for sure.
Wow. Must be difficult doing what you're doing. Must be very difficult. Yeah. No, I don't know. I don't know if I could do it full time like you do.
Yeah, how do you do it on that note? You said you release 7 a week. Like,
did it one stage.
How, man? Like, I can barely, get up, go to work, drink enough water, return phone calls, let alone do 7 podcasts a week. Like, how? Honestly, serious question. How, man? How do you manage it? I know you got
this guy, man, Charles, bro. Like mate,
this guy,
and this guy as well. Like, there's certain thing, bro. Like, I know that if I have to do a podcast and I'm feeling flat, there's a good chance I can get Zucco to jump in as well. Whereas I mean, his lifestyle and timing is usually fits in well with when I'm doing podcasts. So, and also he's entertaining as well. So if I am feeling flat and a bit thing, I know I can bring him in and he can sort of substitute that. And he's been a great, but he's been a great addition, I think, to certain interviews as well, because it's we have that other perspective of the conversation. And to be honest, I want to bring on more people with me, not every single episode, but I want to bring random other people that I know, random friends of mine, into interviews and podcasts with me. I've done it with Charles a couple of times. Me and Charles have interviewed Shaw Guerrero together. We interviewed my first interview with Vince Russo was with you. Who was it? Anyone else? Was it just those two?
Oh fuck! I think it was just those. Oh, you tagged me in once for I don't know, you having internet problems. I had no idea who the
Rig.
Yeah, I was like, who the fuck is this? What the fuck do I say? I don't know. Yeah, so I just sat there and asked generic shitty questions for 20 minutes. And then I cut myself out of it later on. Well, that was bad. I told him, fuck, man, you can't do that to me again.
Yeah,
but maybe to help.
We like Garth from Wayne's World. When he went live, when Wayne walked off, and he goes,
that was me. I was just sitting there. I was like, fuck, who is this guy? What do I say? I had no idea.
Be calm.
It worked. Thankfully for editing, just cut it out.
But we've had a lot of, but you know what I mean? Over the time of and how I find the time, now, because I've done at such a busy full-on level of running my own, it was me and Charles were both the owners of the podcast network. Charles was the guy. He said,
Oh,
he said
that was fucking
he
tough.
did not.
Jesus.
He said from the get go, he was like, "I am not fucking being a part of this shit." No, he goes, "I am not going to be on screen. I am not going to be on mic. I want to fucking be the guy that runs the background. I'm going to be the guy that fucking chases sponsors, does the flyers, does clips, everything like that, and I'm going to handle the marketing and the business. And you just go out there and do you, and you
Be a
control."
talent.
Yeah, it was basically my job was to be the talent and manage the podcast and make sure that the show was entertaining. So,
Yeah,
there's certain things like I would have to, when we did that, because at the time I was already doing a podcast with Angel from ECW, and that was part of Vince Russo's brand at the time, Wrestling with Tragedy. So, that was already that podcast and this, and it was like, you know what, we're going to start a podcast network, which surprisingly enough, the whole idea of a podcast network was formed when I was laying in a hospital bed with a suspected heart attack, and me and Charles were each other going, you know what, fuck this Monday to Friday type mundane shit. Let's start a fucking podcast network and blow the fuck up. And I mean,
how stupid were we? What the fuck?
Yeah. We thought this was our fucking plan. Mind you, this was a year in for me, right? In podcasting. So I should have known better, but I was like, yeah, fucking let's do it. And then we brought in Angel from Wrestling with Tragedy, who is one of the wildest motherfuckers. You put a microphone in front of him, he's a 30-year vet trained by Johnny Rods. He's a you know what I mean?
He is uncensored.
Yeah, I don't want to say bitter, but he would be
no fucks to give.
Yeah, he does. He does not give two fucks at all. So I said to him, I want to put you on a podcast. You're the main host, and it's going to be Keeping It 100 with Conan, but it's going to be Killing the Business with Angel. And he goes, "I know, Killing the Business with the Kingpin." And he was like, "Fuck yeah!" And that was that show. We got that show started up. It was me and him. And then I wanted to step away from that show because I didn't want to be on so many different podcasts, on mine and his and Wrestling with Tragedy. So I needed to have a fucking disconnect from that as well, because it's also if I'm working that much with Angel, it's probably more than likely we're going to kill each other in some extent as well. So it's I wanted that to be his baby. And it's I could be there and jump in and help on a rarity. And then we added the Dead Presidents with Knights of the Gimmick Table. And then we added Alan Funk, which was the final piece, I feel of the show's lineups. And we bring in Alan Funk and he starts Get Funked. And then about a month into that, I get contacted by Vince Russo, and he's bro, what's this I'm seeing? He's like, bro, I gotta ask Piers, what's this I'm seeing about this MWA podcast network and fucking Alan Funk and the Presidents and fucking and Angel? What the fuck are you doing? And I said, I'm copying you, brother. I said, this is my brand. And which is anyone who knows, Vince Russo has the Vince Russo's brand, which has a bunch of podcasters underneath it. And I said, I'm starting my own brand. And he's like, bro, bring your brand over to mine and let's put it behind a paywall and get you paid.
Yeah, you like money.
Yeah.
It sounded good.
And me and Charles, we talked about it, and it was that meant our shows had to go from being a live format to a pre-recorded format, which is something from me.
We were fine with that though.
Me, not so much. I was that I
wanted that.
I like the fact my shit was live, but I think the other guys did as well. But anyway, so
that was the problem.
We end up going forward with it, but they're going. Then I was going, fuck, now we got 4 weeks before because it was after 4 weeks on the paywall, we can release it on YouTube and stuff, right? But in 4 weeks, we're not going to be able to put content out. What do?
Right.
We create more shows, don't we, right? So that's what we did. We created Wrestling with Sports with the Dead Presidents and King Mega, because King Mega had stepped in to be the co-host of Killing the Business, and same with Glenn Sexton. Me and Glenn Sexton started NXT Roundup, where we reviewed NXT every week. And then I put the smartest decision I think we did, and I credit Charles for this, was putting Angel and Alan together and calling it the Funk and Kingpin podcast. And these two guys just like
they fucking fed off each other.
You imagine a guy from the Bronx in New York talking to like this guy from Oklahoma, right? And he's like you're having fun going, yeah, God, I'm gonna go get this sex toy company to sponsor us. It'll be let's go, baby. And then there's Angel going, yeah, I'm from New York, you know, like you fucking mark, you know, like and like
we got to release those shows again. They were fucking great,
bro. But like that was the thing, and like so adding those more shows to it added the more stress, added the more workload. Like I was pretty much working a full-time job. I was also then turning around doing like countless amounts of clips every week. Charles was doing the same shit. And it was like, we're both getting burnt out. And in also the process of it, I'm looking at it going, fuck, my numbers are shit on mine. Like my podcast is lacking. Like I'm not like I go and listen to my shit and go, fuck, I sound exhausted on camera. Like I look like I don't want to fucking be there. And to be honest, I was like, sometimes I was like, oh fuck, I gotta do a podcast. Fuck. All right, let's go. Come on, time to do it. You know what I mean? Like I was at that stage, bro, where I was not having fun. And that's where I said to Charles, I was like, bro, I need to disconnect from this. And like, whether you want to shut the network down, like that's fine. You guys can take the channels, everything like that. I'll start from scratch again. Because at that stage I was like, I trust.
But we were both feeling the same thing, but we just didn't say it to each other.
Yeah. Because we were both in it for each other. So it was
like a bad marriage.
Oh, it was horrible. It was fun in one way, but it was fucking hell.
Everyone was over it at that stage.
Right.
Yeah. I was on everybody, bro. I was like, you have to share this on social media. I was obsessed, bro. Like, you know what I mean? I need this right now. I need this thing to be done here. And then I was like, now I look back at it, bro. I'm embarrassed, bro, how I acted, bro. Like, to be honest, I was a fucking Nazi over a thing that wasn't making fucking massive amounts of money. And it's like, I look at it now, it's like I have fun with it. Like before, there was like, though it would be very rarely I'd have someone co-host a podcast with me. Now I don't give two fucks, bro. Like, obviously, I'm not going to bring in nobody, like just some random person to fucking do a podcast and co-host it with me. But it's like, even back then, I was so meticulous, and Charles would fucking agree to this. I was so meticulous on everything. Everything had to be to the fucking T.
And is it a bad thing?
It was, bro, because it was starting to piss off the crew. It was starting to. Like
his stress was becoming everyone's stress.
Yeah, right. Bro, I was stressing out, bro. I projected that stress onto everybody. So, like, bro, I'm cool with everybody there, bro. Like, we're all cool now and everything like that. We're still homies. I've had majority of all the guys on the podcast since then. Mega, Cade, Glenn, the presidents, like we're all cool. We're all cool now. They understood where I was at. They understood what I was trying to do, what I was trying to achieve. And they knew I was trying to get them paid. But like, they were just like, they even said to me, man, like Mega said, he's like, bro, we just saw you put fucking, like, we just thought you were just going overboard, man. Like, we thought you were going to fucking like have a heart attack at some stage, bro. Like, you were just in it.
Yeah, too much pressure.
Yeah, you just put all this fucking pressure on the world on yourself, bro. And it was just fucking way too much.
Yeah. Well, you're passionate about it, you know what I mean? But it's good that you found your way, and you found it this way. As you said, the conversation is probably the best way to go, and doing your own show. So I think you got A plus, which is great. You're doing good.
Yeah, man. Look, it's 300 episodes, having to only recently having to remove one episode, which which I'm sure we'll get into later down the track of that. But,
well, let's get into it now. Let's since
I want to hear about this.
That's the elephant in the room. Like, let's be honest. It's all right.
This is the first time I'm speaking publicly about it since since a lot of shit happened.
You want to take this one, Robbie?
I don't know. You go, Vin. You take.
All right, man. You did an interview, right? Someone came on that interview and said he gave his opinion, which whether people like it or not, he's entitled to it. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. Now, whether it's right or wrong, that's a different question. You received some nasty things or some nasty messages about your family, which is a line you should just never fucking cross. So whoever that was, from me to you, fuck you. Like, it's just not cool. And as a result, you opted to take this episode down. Now I'm going to ask you a question. I said this to you on the phone, like when I spoke to you about this. I want you to follow along with my train of thought. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I'm Peter Overton or Piers Morgan or whatever, right? And I interview Saddam Hussein, right? Hypothetically, right? And he says some nasty shit. Yeah. Now, Piers Morgan don't get heat for that interview because of what someone else said. What I don't understand, and I'm genuinely fucking baffled at the universe, is why you're copping any type of heat for this. Because I heard the interview and you didn't say, yeah, I agree, man. You were like, no, I don't agree with that. Or you gave your opinion. And, I'm not going to say what I'm not going to go over what Tyson said or whatever, because I don't remember it. I to be honest with you, I don't whatever, it's done. It's in the past. But why are you copping heat? And then why would you pull your interview down? Because if anything, if this is such a problem, shouldn't we as a society, fuck wrestling in the wrestling industry, shouldn't we as a society be using this as a lesson? Like, why did you pull it down, man? Like, I don't get it. I don't understand.
So, look, for a number of reasons, and I'm going to say this, the messages I received were from people using fake accounts and using fake burner accounts. And look, I was on Australian Wrestling Radio the day after the podcast was the article about the podcast got dropped. And we spoke about them, but I feel like a lot more has come out from there, and I haven't addressed it publicly besides a tweet that I put out about that message. And like, the thing is, bro, like, I could care less if someone threatens me or wants to talk ill of me or wants to say anything negative it is about me, because, bro, at the end of the day, I make the choice, and I make the choice to put myself out on a podcast, a video cast, or whatever the fuck it is, bro. I choose to be on wrestling shows. I choose all of that shit to put myself out there for public consumption.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I'm quite aware, bro, and I'm quite understanding of the point that I'm going to have people that are going to really like what I do, and I'm going to have people that really don't like what I do. There's going to be people that are better than me at this game, and there's going to be people that I'm better at than them at this game that are going to have some jealousy. So, like, there's these factors that come into it. But the one thing that really fucking get on my nerves, and I'm going to say this, bro, because it's like, I don't care. Like, if this person wanted a reaction, they fucking got one. Yeah, they fucking got one, right? Because as I said, I put myself out there for all this shit. I'll take whatever bullshit that someone wants to throw at me. But the moment someone brings in my fucking children into a fucking, like, for whatever reason, whether that message was related to that podcast or not, I don't, whether it's even fucking wrestling related or you just fucking this is some burner that scrolled past my profile and thought I'm going to spew some hate at this fucking person, right?
Yeah.
Whatever the fucking case may be, bro, like, you do not fucking talk about my kids, bro. Straight the fuck out. You do not say things like that about my children, about anyone's children. I don't give a fuck who you are. I don't give a fuck what you have to say about or your justification of that. That is not fucking on. Okay?
Okay.
Yes, some things were said on a podcast that were offended some people. I'm sorry. Yeah, I genuinely am sorry that it offended people.
But that's not your fault. That's not your fault. That's not even remotely your fault.
I know, but I apologize that happened. I apologize that they got offended by it.
Okay? Yeah, okay.
But you know what?
But you know what? Like, if this is the same from people with the same mindset that sent me these messages, like the people sent me the messages have the same mindset as these people, what's fucking worse? What's worse? Tell me that. But like, the thing is, bro, that's fine. I don't give a shit. You know what I mean? Someone sent me that message. It's done. It's dusted, bro. But the thing was, it's like, I had time to reflect. I had time to think about it. And I'm like, man, this is my fucking, outlet, bro. This is my fun. This is something I'm trying to turn into a fucking business and make it a positive experience. And for the most part, bro, I'm going to say this, for that one negative fucking hateful motherfucker message that sent me that shit, bro, I've received fucking 10s, 20s, 30 tons, bro, of fucking messages from people saying, hey man, we love what you do. Keep it up. From fucking workers, from podcasters, from fucking fans, and everyone in fucking between, bro. I've had people say, hey, we got your back. We fucking dig what you are doing. Fuck these people. So you know what, bro? Some person who's a fucking pussy ass bitch who has to sit behind a fucking computer, behind a fake fucking account and send shit like that to me, bro. Fuck you. Because you don't have the fucking mental capacity to have a conversation with me. You don't have the fucking even the fucking right to step foot in my fucking existence, you piece of shit.
Do you think it was a worker?
No, I don't think it was a worker.
I thought it was a genuine fan.
I think it's someone who has probably taken a lot of what has happened after that interview and seen my name attached to it. And probably tried to find Tyson Gibbs online and going, this person's probably Piers is easier to find. Because let's face it, I live my entire life on the internet. Like you know what I mean? Like, as I said, I put myself out there for this shit. So, bro, like I'm probably the easier one to find. And that's probably why it comes from it, bro. But, bro,
so is that why you think you got the heat, like majority of the heat? Because from what I saw on the internet and on social media,
yeah, like I think, but
what heat you're talking about? The heat you're talking about is from maybe one or two or even three fucking people, and I can guarantee you that one of these people has no fucking clue what they're talking about to begin with. You know what I mean? And that's the sad thing about it. So this is like one of those things where things got misconstrued and weren't fucking talked about properly, and the wrong person said the wrong thing and other people backed it. You know what I mean? So I looked at that and go, they had no fucking idea. You know, it was your fucking podcast. You didn't do anything fucking wrong. I don't give a fuck what anyone says. You know, you did not have to take jack shit down. You interview anybody. You could be, like, as he said, you can interview whoever the fuck you want. If they decide to fucking talk out of line or say what their opinion, that's on them. It's got nothing to do with you. You know, it's like, you don't blame Channel 9 if fucking...
Exactly.
It's the same thing. You're dealing with dumb fucks, Piers. I'm sorry, but you're dealing with dumb fucks. You know what I mean? Some of these people that have spoken to you and whatnot, and you know what? It's one of those things where it doesn't sit well with me because, like, they got no clue. It's like they're just blaming the wrong person. Oh, why would they blame you? You're the host of the fucking show. You haven't done anything wrong. And in fact, I think I recall that you actually were going against the opinion of what Gibbs was saying. You know what I mean? But you know, they don't fail to listen to that bit. They just see a little bit of content.
I think it comes down to a couple of fans, bro, that probably get a little bit overexcited when they see this stuff. Look, and I'm not, but the
fans or workers, like
fans. I don't think it would be a worker, bro, because I think, like, I would like to think that I have enough respect in the Australian scene that people would not want to why would someone say that about my children? You know what I mean? Like, I would like to think that I have enough respect by, you know, people around in this business. And I'm not saying
I don't trust anybody, bro. That's just me.
But I know, bro. Maybe I'm just trying to be a little bit naive, and because I have to go and work with these people on shows. You know what I mean? Like, that's a part of it. So, like, if I sit there and go into it, bro, and I start being paranoid about every motherfucker, bro, then how am I going to be at a show, bro? Like, I'm going to literally sit there and go, who the fuck can I trust here?
Why would you be paranoid? Like, fuck people. Like, you like me, you like me. You don't like me, get the fuck out. Who cares? Why do you care?
Yeah, bro, what I'm saying, if I think there's going to be a threat or something's going to go down, you know what I mean? Like, which I know.
You've had other interviews on your podcast, and you had people talking about more fucking raw shit.
100%. Oh my
God. That's what worries me, though. Because what if, so you've pulled this episode down. What if the next, you know, you have someone else on, someone else gets offended? You can't go pulling everything down.
No,
the controversy is what gets you views anyway.
But can I ask? No, sorry, go Piers.
Yeah, look, that is the thing. And look, the decision like was mine to make. No one told me to do it. No one said you need to do it. No one threatened me to not, if I didn't take it down, something was going to happen. Because I feel like if someone did make that threat to me, it would have been fuck you, and I would have like highlighted that shit and fucking promoted the fuck out of it despite the people. And that's just because of who I am. You know me, I don't let anyone tell me what to do. But the thing was, I made the decision. It was my call.
Okay.
And there was no forcing of my hand to do it. So anyone who thinks that I have been censored or I have been restricted or I am conflicting of what my beliefs are about freedom of speech, that is not what the case is. I decided to take it down because it was getting too out of hand and I didn't want to get any more fucking messages, and to the point where it's like, what's next? Someone says that and next thing you know, someone fucking turns up at my fucking house or my front doorstep or fucking at my kids. You know what I mean, bro? Like, I'm a father of 3, bro. Like, if it's just me, bro, I don't give a fuck. Come to my house, bro. I got something for you. You know what I'm saying? But when I'm living with my fucking wife and 3 kids, bro, I don't want to fucking bring any more intentional fucking heat like that. So if deleting an episode is going to ensure that, like, minimize that chance of happening, bro, I'm going to fucking take that step, bro. Because let's face it, I'm not going to be going and running to police, bro. Like, you know what I mean? I'm just going to make sure I take care of my shit, bro. And if that's going to avoid that shit, and I'm not saying that was on the table, but it's like when you get a message like that and a couple of others that I received, bro, it's a progression. You know what I'm saying? Pretty soon, those messages of wishing hate on you then turn to fucking, I'm going to do this to you. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So,
well, let's recap on this. So basically, let's tell us about. So let's go back to the real reason why this happened. Right now, the questions that were asked were your generic questions that you ask every fucking Tom, Dick, and Harry. So I'm going to
my questions were never generic, bro. My questions are
I'll ask you the same generic questions that you do ask, because like I said, I see things. So the first one is what do you think of intergender wrestling?
Okay.
And the second one is what do you think of deathmatch wrestling?
Okay, cool. All right. So intergender wrestling. This is my thought on it.
Because this is what caused the problem.
100%.
So people need to know what your real thoughts are.
So my real thoughts are, so intergender wrestling, one of the things that doesn't sit well with me when someone says intergender wrestling is not believable. It's professional wrestling. Everything can be made to be fucking believable. I'm sorry. Like, and you know what? Like, that was even, I've said that for what, Charles, 3 years? I've said that shit.
Yeah. Yeah. We did a show on Wrestling with Tragedy about this. That was your stance then, and it's your stance now. Yeah.
That was my same stance now, bro. Right. So, and I said then the same thing that I'm saying now. Anything can be made to be believable. I just interviewed Todd Gordon the other week, right? And he said he had a conversation with someone at a show earlier in the early ECW stages. And he goes, Eddie Gilbert taught him that anything can be believable because he said, oh, they want to do this, but blah, 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 blah. That's not believable. Eddie Gilbert goes, it's fucking wrestling. Anything's believable. I'm like, like straight away, that's just, I'm going, that's the same shit I've been saying, right? So I think, yes, intergender wrestling is 100% believable. It can be put on when you have 2 great workers. It doesn't matter about the sex of the worker. If they can get in there and put on a great match, they can tell a great story with what they're doing and they can get the crowd invested. It really doesn't matter what their gender is, bro. And that's what I've said since day one. Now, if they can't go in there and they can't win the crowd over, they can't get heat, they don't have the crowd invested, that's on them as workers. That's not them as men. That's not them on them as women or as human beings. That's on them as performers for not being able to get over or get what they need out of that crowd.
Okay. Can I ask you a question, Piers?
Sure.
So I'm not going to say whether I agree or disagree with intergender wrestling or deathmatch. That's my opinion, and I don't want to share that with anyone. But do we have a culture now where if you say I don't like it, you're automatically labeled sexist? And I want to give you a scenario, right? If you walk down the street, right, Robbie, me and you are going for food, yeah? And
What about me? I'm not invited.
You're not invited. Fuck off. So we're walking down the street and there's Italian, Indian, pizza, McDonald's, KFC, whatever, right? And I say, "Hi, Robbie, I feel like Indian." And you say, "Nah, man, I don't like Indian food." Does that make you a racist? It doesn't. It doesn't. It's just, it doesn't. You don't like it. So if people say they don't like intergender wrestling for whatever reason, I think people saying that's sexist and you got to evolve. I don't think that's necessarily correct. Like, I don't have a problem. Like personally, like it's on, I'll watch it, whatever. But like, I don't think I really think like we need to pull back as a culture and not just call someone sexist because they don't like something you like. Like the food example I just gave. Someone's not a racist because they don't say, "I don't like Indian food." Like, it's just everyone's got a personal preference. But if you do go out of your way to fucking shit on it and give someone shit, like a lot of these people, yes, they're firm believers and they love it and they spend their careers trying to build in that niche. Good for them, bro. But I think, like, if I'm going to say anything on this podcast as a message to everyone, like, just chill. Like, not everything has to be a big drama. Not everything needs to be taken out of context. Like, at the end of the day, the world is full of people. People are going to have their opinions. Now, if someone says something that you disagree with, back in the day, I was raised to say in my head, "What a fucking idiot," and get on with my life. Okay. We don't need, like, as a culture, as a wrestling culture in Australia, especially, we need to do fucking better. Do you know what I mean? Like, have an opinion, sure, but don't go out of your way to make, like always I said, if I'm going to say something that's actually going to offend someone, don't fucking say it. Just keep it to yourself. Like
100%, bro. But that comes down to being a good human being in society, bro. But the thing is as well, like in society as well, you have to understand sometimes people say offensive shit and it doesn't necessarily mean that they're being offensive, bro.
That's their problem.
Bro, it's but sometimes people talk some shit and they say some shit and it's not intended for the way that this person
100%.
Bro. And that's 100%. The thing. It's like you look at some people, they hear some shit and they go, "That upset me." And they focus in on that. And they focus in on that 1 second of that conversation of a 5-minute conversation, right? And you 100%. See that a lot of fucking celebrities. You see it happen to a lot of like podcasters, content creators, etc. Whereas like they give like they cut a snippet of it, right? Yeah, they cut a snippet of it, whereas like you don't get the 30 seconds before that snippet or the 30 seconds after that snippet, where it's like they're giving their whole fucking monologue on something.
100%.
And that's where it's like that, and that's where it's always the fine line. It's like whenever I'm doing clips, I always make sure that if someone's talking about something and I'm promoting it as them talking about something, I have it down to the fucking second.
For sure.
Because it's like, all right, we're gonna do this. Bang, and that's the place it's cut off. So then they've spoken about that entire fucking topic from this point to this point, and that's the clip. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I just think we got to do better. Like as a little bit more patience, a little bit more understanding, and not everything needs to be a grand insult. You know what I mean? Like,
are we talking about the ones that get offended or upset are a minority? Are they like a?
Look, man, I'm gonna be honest with you. In 2023, everyone's offended.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, so we're a cupcake society. Exactly what I've been saying.
We are.
You know,
we are.
And yeah, look, I that's my stance on that. You got to have a little bit of thick skin, especially in this day and age, because you won't make it through life, let alone fucking wrestling. You know, you need to have that fucking thick skin. So that's
like. Robbie, as a performer, you have to take it on the chin. Like, I might go out there and I've had horrible matches, I've had good matches, and I've had people say really complimentary things and really bad things. But you have to take it on board for what it is. Like, is someone an asshole because they don't like my style of wrestling or they don't think I'm a good performer? Absolutely not. That's their opinion. I'll think he's a fucking idiot or she or whatever. I back myself. But that's my point. People can have their opinions, but I think, like, you know, maybe we're taking things a little too far with getting offended. Like, I think we need to kind of reassess because it's subjective. Like, and you can't deny people from having their opinion, whether it's right or wrong or you disagree. They're entitled to it. Just like one person is entitled to theirs, that other person is entitled to their opinion too. We just need to be a little bit more understanding of both parties. That's all I'm saying.
I think
I'm not even talking about intergender wrestling now. I'm just talking about fucking semantics.
But I think as well, like, you can have it, like, difference of an opinion is great and it's really good. when two intelligent people who can have a difference of opinion can sit down and talk about their difference of opinion. And now, Nathan, Vinnie Vain, sorry, I know that you and I have had many conversations where there's things that we don't always agree about. And I think that what makes our friendship even more greater is the fact that we can have these difference of opinion, share our thoughts on what our views are, and then go, hey, let's go get a fucking burger.
Agree to disagree. 100%. Like, you're not wrong. I'm not wrong. You're not right. I'm not right. It's an opinion. You're entitled to it. You breathe air, you bleed red. Like, you're entitled to your opinion, man.
I just feel like when people start fucking like shitting on people and insulting people for having a difference of opinion, that to me doesn't sit well, because it's like, if your whole argument is to go, you're a dickhead.
But do you
like,
feel
how
that some
is
people...
that an intelligent argument? How is that a rebuttal to an intelligent conversation, right? Going, yeah, you're fucked.
Has anyone ever stopped to think that maybe that person's opinion does have some merit to a degree? Now, I'm not saying that what this subject here did. I'm not saying it didn't. I just want to make this fucking clear. I am not taking any stance on what was said on this opinion. Okay, I don't give a fuck. That's my stance. I don't give a fuck about X party or Y party. It's not my business. No fucks to give. Sorry. But my point is, like, we've got to literally like take the fucking stance of like, it's just that. It's just an opinion. It's different. You know, like, it's just let it be, man. Like, going on Twitter or Instagram and creating a movement about, like, you know, because you were offended or this person was offended, like, you've got to kind of see the weight to both sides here. You know, like, there might be some learnings from this by, like, let's just say Mr. X saying X might be like, shit, maybe there's a way we can take this feedback and learn from it and improve. Do you know what I mean? That's why when I said to you, why did you take it down, your episode? Because we could use, like, society could use this as a learning. Maybe there was some truth in that. Maybe at a minimum, maybe there was something to say, hey, maybe this is not how we do things. If you like, I don't know what the answer is, but like, I felt that there was learnings to be taken from that for both sides. Sure.
No, I get it. Like I said, bro, when I started getting threats about my kids.
Yeah, I get. From one dad to another, I'm with you. I get it. I get
like that was just to the point where I was just like, you know, and even my wife, who didn't even know about it, because I kayfabed her on it and I didn't tell her shit about it until like you and me were having a conversation about it on the phone. And then she's like, why'd you fucking delete the episode? And I'm like, oh, you know, I just thought it was the right thing to do. And she goes like, well, like, what, now you're going to be censoring yourself? Like, what the fuck? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what? You know, she didn't say what the fuck, but she's like,
listen to your missus, mate. You should listen to your missus.
You know what? Like, after I showed her the messages, bro, and she's like, just words. She goes, it's just words. She goes, their words from nobody. She goes, their words from nobody.
Like I said, you've got to show. People have their content. People have their opinion. Most people in life, they focus on what they call the sand in the jar, and they don't fill it up with the big shit, like the rocks and what the more important shit in life. And that's 100%. Exactly what's happened. You know what I mean? So,
look, your wife, I'm 100%, bro. Look, I learned. I made a business decision, and it was a decision that I made based on what I felt at the time and what I feel. So, like, I feel like I've done what I've done because I made that decision, not because I was forced to.
Man. No. I respect. Like, I know we had a very abrupt and different conversation in person about this, and I was probably harsh, which I apologize.
No, bro. That's
no. I was a cunt. Like, there's no ifs or buts, bro. Like, I was a real asshole. But like, when you've told me your side of things and I get your reasoning, like, respect. You know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, you're a dad, you're a husband, and I'm a dad and a husband, and you're protecting your family, and I respect that. You know what I mean? So kudos to you, man. You do what's right, and like I always tell you, like, you know, we've got your back. Rob's got your back. Like, we love you, and like, no one's gonna do shit to you because, like, I'm Wog and I'll fucking dig a hole in my backyard and bury this cunt. Don't worry about
it. Yeah, man. Nah, look, you know, you asked me what my thoughts are on deathmatch wrestling, bro. I was a fan of deathmatch wrestling when I was younger. and I can still enjoy certain matches of deathmatch wrestling depending on who the workers are that are doing it. But majority of deathmatch wrestling that I see today is dog shit.
Cancelled.
No, like I'm saying, like, and I'm not saying majority is in all of it, bro, because there are good deathmatch workers out there.
Yeah.
There's good deathmatch workers in this country. But like, I don't like seeing the stupid shit in deathmatch wrestling, like people just taking unnecessary punishment or standing in front of each other and going light tube, 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 light. You know what I mean? Like that shit is just fucking retarded, because why would you just stand there in any fucking scenario in life and just have someone smack you over the head with a light tube and you do it straight back to them and just continue to do it?
Yeah.
Why would you fucking do that? It's stupid. I feel like certain spots as well, like we recently saw, like on a deathmatch show, some guy got a fucking needle stuck through the fucking of his penis.
What the fuck?
What?
Yeah, bro. Like some guy had his pants pulled down.
What the
I sent it to.
fuck?
I think I sent it to Zucco. It was Big Effin' Joe, who's from the UK. He
No, I
fucking
don't wanna
pants
know.
this guy and took the guy's
Nah.
penis and fucking took like a metal rod and stuck it through the.
Oh, fuck. All right.
Yeah.
Rob, do you like
what
deathmatch
the
wrestling?
fuck?
Yeah, this is the real one. This is the one. Let's turn it on, Rob.
You can
I'm
ask
just
me.
curious. Yeah, do you like it?
I think more. I think more open minded. The question you should be asking, anything in pro wrestling can work, whether it's
Sure.
intergender,
Yeah, I'm
death,
not disagreeing.
hardcore. If done right, it can work.
Time
And
and place, yeah.
it can be spectacular. You know what I mean? But because the hardcore matches and the death match, because it requires putting your fucking body completely on the line, it needs to be fucking out of this world type of fucking great. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. I'm in the wrestling business, so I've always understood. I've got the Jim Ross mentality. You never know how good it is until you try it. You know what I mean? You got to go out there and try it. You never know how good it is. So you don't, unless you try it, you don't know. I don't have a say where it's like, I don't like it as much or whatnot. Would I personally do it? Maybe not, because I don't know if I could pull it off that well.
Sure.
I could pull it off, but it's just like, and I've been in the business for 20-something years. You know what I mean? So me personally, I think you need to be trained pretty well to do deathmatch. You know what I mean? A lot of these people aren't. People think that you go from deathmatch first and then you come to the wrestling business.
Yeah.
You know, it's the other. Look, as I said, I used to watch. There was 3 guys, even 4. Back in the day, 2006 in Australia, there was Lobo, Spike Steele, and like even Mad Dog. And the difference is when they did their matches, they were really brutal and they were hardcore. But they learned they learned the fundamentals first. They learned they were trained by George Julio, and they learned how to fucking bump. They learned how to work. They learned how to move. Their timing was there. Their feeding was there. Their footwork was there. And then when they came down to doing those big fucking matches, it was very well timed, and they knew how to build it. You know what I mean? Most people don't know how to do it. So that's the thing. My thoughts on any type of thing in wrestling, if you do it right, it will work. But it just depends. You need to really do it right. So that's my opinion on that.
But I feel like, for the most part, like I've seen, like there's been bad deathmatch wrestling, like there's been bad every other type of
There's
wrestling.
been bad everything. There's been
bad regular wrestling too.
But
Yeah.
the one thing that really irks me, right, in deathmatch wrestling, and I've seen this because I was a huge deathmatch mark. Whereas like I've seen shows where guys are literally walking around the ring, they've got their gig like this, and they just walk around, and they're big, fat, overweight guys. And they're doing that while standing and facing on cam. And that shit to me is like, what the fuck?
That's the thing.
It is.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Yeah, it's always going to be there. The that type of wrestling is always going to be there. The hardcore is going to be there. The intergender is going to be there. The midget wrestling is going to be there. Every type.
It's good. It's good that it's all there. It's a smorgasbord. It's what you want.
But that's where you need the promoters, and whenever you got smart promoters, they can control everything, and they can go into detail on what needs to be done and what not, and they need to book the right place. That's what it comes down to.
I think that's where it gets murky. Is like I think the thing is like if it's done right, it can be great. And at the end of the day, you got to remember it's entertainment. Like you watch movies and you see males beat the shit out of females, you see females beat the shit out of males, and everything in between. It's entertainment. If it fits the purpose of the story, more power to you. But I think as well, where from a worker's standpoint, it comes down to, are you comfortable to participate in these things? Like for me, I won't do deathmatch because like I'm a pussy and I'm too pretty for that. Like that's just honest truth. I won't do it.
Would you do certain things like maybe not do glass, but do thumbtacks or maybe do barbed wire? Or
no, like I've done TLCs, I've done hardcore matches, and like I've done them, and I'm just like the next morning I'm like, this is fucking dumb. And then like my wife is like, this is fucking dumb. Like why are you doing it? Like, and it's just not for me. Like, that doesn't make me a hater because I don't want to participate. It's like if a guy goes to a party and like, I'm not a drinker, right? I don't drink alcohol. Like, it's not religious beliefs or anything. I just don't like alcohol. But like, just because I go to a party and I don't drink, it doesn't mean I can I have an issue with anyone that does. It's just my choice.
No. Yeah,
like
you don't hate horror films. You just hate the film that was actually shown to you. That's all.
Essentially. I'm just messing with you. We're just fucking around. No, I think it's everyone's into, like I said, I'm going to say it again. Everyone's entitled to their opinion, but I think it comes down to as workers, do you want to do it? Like whether you're male, female, everything in between, like if you're presented with something and you don't want to do it for whatever reason, that's your choice. That's your body. Because at the end of the day, Robbie, I wrestle you, I get in the ring, my life is in your hands and vice versa. If I'm not comfortable with any aspect of this, why the fuck should I do it? Why should you do it? It doesn't matter, like for whatever reason. Like that's not to discredit any type of wrestling. Like I think everything has a place in wrestling. That's what makes wrestling amazing. You can have intergender, hardcore, deathmatch, singles, submission. If it adds to the story and puts on that entertainment value, go for it. And just find the right guy for the job.
I'm a pro wrestler. I don't get offended if somebody doesn't like a type of wrestling. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Why would you?
People get offended over that. You know what I mean? I don't get that bit. I'm a pro wrestler. I don't get offended if people, hate, deathmatch wrestling, or they hate intergender, or they even hate just straight singles matches. You know what I mean? I don't get offended over if someone goes to me, I hate that old school shit. I don't get it. You know what I mean? That's their opinion.
Because you're a grown ass man and you don't give a fuck about someone else's opinion.
But also too, like as a professional, you need to understand all that stuff. It all comes with being a professional. You need to understand that it can all work. It's been proven. It can all work. It can all. If it's the right place, right time, done right, it can be great. But like as you said, we see a lot of shit, in the business because there is times where it's not done right. You know what I mean? So
absolutely. Well, I'm going to challenge you on something. You said the word professional, right? Now I'm going to say this. I don't care. I think a lot of people throw the word professional around very loosely in professional wrestling because the way a lot of people act and conduct themselves in the actual, like the shows and whatnot, and the way you see them carry themselves online and whatnot is anything but professional.
Yeah.
Like that's the one thing I hate about professional wrestling is like a lot of these people, and like people can even argue and say on this podcast, like Nathan, you swear, you this, you that, like, it's not very professional, but that's where we go wrong. Like I really think we need to upskill with how we conduct ourselves as professional in and out of the ring.
But also this is a podcast as well, where like
I know it's casual. I know it's casual.
Like it's a different thing here. Like it's not exactly like
And as you said, it's all about being professional. It's all about when you go to the shows, it's having etiquette. If you have heat with someone, you still say hello, you shake their hand. You're going there. It's like you go to a theater play. You know what I mean? They're all professional backstage. You know, you go to the movies, they're all professional backstage. It's
not
even
a theater play, Rob. It's like at work. You go to work every day. You're professional.
You have to be professional. You know what I mean? It's the exact same thing. So it comes down to all of that stuff. You know, professional in the ring, your etiquette. You know, your the way you look. You know, the way you smell. Everything. It all comes into it. You know what I mean? You need to be professional. You can't. You know, you got to do everything. That's what it is. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
You hear that, Charles? The podcast business needs to get, I said, you hear that, Charles? The podcast business needs to get more professional.
Get more professional. Not in the fucking
boy. Oh boy, I'm in trouble.
You're in trouble,
Charles.
Do
you I'm gonna ask Robbie and Piers this, like, because you're both doing shows and around. Honest opinion, what you see on the Australian scene and where you guys go, do you think we are professional and we like honestly conduct ourselves as professionals?
Yeah, I think about, you know, a good 80% do.
Yep.
You know what I mean? But we focus more on the 20% that don't. You know what I mean? I just had a show at in Canberra. Went to the Slam show. Everything about it was crazy professional. You know what I mean? They from the ring to the setup, to the merchandising, to the promos, to the backstage. The boys, they all could take constructive criticism. They all they invite you know, people from interstate. Everything was just great. You know what I mean? So, you know, that's a good start. You know, EWA is the same. You know, IWA is the same. You know, so you know, all these companies. Yeah, there is a lot of good companies out there. You know what I mean? But it just depends on how far they want to take it. You know, the presentation we saw at Canberra, these boys worked their fucking ass off to make this a fucking spectacle, and it was. You know what I mean? There was the only thing was missing was fucking, you know, a rock star or something like that. But apart from that, it was great. So
that's what they got you for, bro.
Sorry, Vinny was busy that day, bro. I couldn't get him there for the booking, you know.
Lol.
Just to keep it in kayfabe a little bit. You know. I thought would do something that I hate the most is when people start working in the podcast.
Yeah, look, and you get the guys that can't do anything. You know what I mean? You get the guys that think they're professional and they're far from it. So it's, and you know what? You are going to get that in every fucking aspect of life. You know, in your job, man. You know, you're gonna get those type of, you know what I mean? So yeah, look, I'd say maybe 80%.
Yeah,
you know?
I actually agree.
That's my opinion, you know.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I think I agree. Piers?
Yeah, I was probably going to say maybe less than that, but yeah, maybe I'm focusing too much.
You could say maybe less, but I don't know.
No. I'm saying like that maybe less because maybe I'm just like looking at the negative too much, and as opposed to like seeing the positive. And that's probably you know what I mean? Like that might necessarily be the reason why, like, I'm sitting here going, I probably think it's less. You've been around it a lot longer than I have, Rob, and you see it probably a lot clearer than what I do. So I would go off your like statistic more than mine.
Well, the only reason why my statistic wouldn't be doesn't have much, doesn't hold up that much is because I don't focus on that 20% of shit. You know what I mean? I really
You've always had a good mindset, yeah.
I don't focus on that. So I've even said it to Vinny and a few other guys. If I don't fucking talk to you or give you my opinion on something, I don't give a fuck about what you just did up there. So if I do give my constructive criticism and my passion to you, that means I give a fuck about you. And I give a fuck.
You love me?
You know what I mean? Well, that's what I'm saying. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
So that's just it. If I say nothing, then there's a fucking problem. So that's me of the 20% that I don't pay attention to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That could be a problem too, where I should be paying attention to that. But the only reason why I say that is I come from the old school of thought. You can't make everyone a fucking professional wrestler. And I know in a wrestling school, it has to be made like a business, like a gym membership. Back in the day, 30 showed up, only 2 survived. Get the fuck out, new crew. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And only 2 will become pro wrestlers. So that's just the way it was. So.
Because back then people didn't want to have their name attached to you if you were going to be the shits, bro. Like I remember Angel telling me, he had a guy who trained at Gleason's with him. He was like a couple years behind Angel, and he came to ECW, and Paul Heyman came up to him and he goes, "So, man, are you gonna vouch for your boy?" He goes, "If you vouch for him, I'll give him a shot, but if he fucks up, it's on you." And Angel was like, "Hell no, I don't vouch for that motherfucker, bro." Like but you went to the same school, and Angel's like, "I don't give a fuck." You know, so did Tommy Dreamer. Dreamer went to the same training school. So did Taz. So did Devon. Go ask them.
Yeah.
They can vouch for the mother. But Angel's like, I knew where I was on the card. I wasn't going to risk my fucking small fucking spot at that stage for this fucking jabroni who we didn't know. Nah, fuck that.
Yeah.
Look, I've seen guys that are like rated by like the fans, like that, you know, they're amazing, but I could tell you now, I don't think they're professional at all in the way they conduct themselves. But then I've seen guys who, you know, let's just say wrestle a lower grade fed or whatnot, that the way they conduct themselves, forget their skill level, but the way they conduct themselves in ring and out of ring, they're 10 times more professional than those who are regarded as some of the best. That's in my experience. So I think it really comes down to the person.
I agree. But I think as well, when certain people reach a certain level of celebrity or fame, then they automatically, like, you don't see I don't know, like, you know, sometimes that can go to someone's head and then they have this false sense of like empowerment, like I'm more important than you, and they can develop that shit. Whereas like, I think for the most part, and the most people that I interact with are pretty cool. But there are obviously like a majority of people in this world that are going to be like that you're going to come across. And it's like that comes across in business. It comes across in personal life.
Yeah.
You know, you just got to navigate those motherfuckers and you know, spend less time around, you know.
Well, I do have a giggle every single time. Like if I'm talking to, you know, certain promoters, I won't obviously name names, but if I'm talking to certain promoters and I said, you know, can we come up with this idea, this, and this? Yeah, no worries. I know that the idea will work. You know, I've been in the business long. I know it will work. I know it'll be pretty cool. And then they're like, no, I don't think it will work for this particular reason. And they'll give me their opinion like they fucking know. And that's why I always get like a big smile on my face going, fuck, you're clueless. You know, right? Yeah. But you just want to feel like you're Vince McMahon. You know what I mean? I get, okay, it's your company. You do what the fuck you want. But, like,
but see, that's the thing, bro. Like, I was asked to go be the head booker of a promotion, right? And like, I listened to what this promoter wanted and what he needed from his shows. I went and watched 2 of his shows back to back.
Oh,
and I came back and I gave an outline of like what I was going to put forward. And he's like, but you're going to have the heel win the main title. And I'm going, yeah. And I'm going to turn that other babyface heel in the process as well. And that other babyface will be this heel champion's heater. And he goes, but I want the babyface to be champion. Yeah. And at your big show, he's going to win the belt. But in the show before that, he's going to come this close. He's going to have the belt in his hands. And then the heel's going to fuck him over. And then the babyface wants that belt even more. Like, he needs that belt. It's an extension of him at that stage, right?
Yeah.
And I know what you're talking about here, right?
Yeah. Then this promoter goes, wouldn't you want to send the crowd home happy? And I went, nope, fuck them. You know what I mean? Like, because at the end of the day, like, send them home happy or send them back invested that they want to see the fucking heel get the shit kicked out of him and they want to see the baby face get his comeuppance, right? So
100%.
that was my thing, is like, then you're going to have your audience want to come to the next show. They're going to bring more people going, man, you have to see what's going to happen between this fucking person and this fucking person. They're going to kill each other. It's going to be a fucking you know what I mean? That's what I was trying to like portray here. But like at the end of the day, the promoter, the guy who owns the company, the guy funding it, they are always going to be the people that want to be in control. They're always going to be the ones that want to make the decisions creatively. Okay, cool. You're the one with the money. You're the one paying it. You're financially invested. That's why I don't argue my things. Like, I've had people ask me my opinions. I give it to a booker. No, I don't like it. Why aren't you arguing your thought? Because I'm not the one paying for this. You are. If you don't like it, you do what you want. Like, fuck.
And that's the thing. A lot of these guys that are so-called promoters, they're not. They're investors, and they don't know what the fuck they're doing. And look, if they were making money from the pro wrestling, I'd stand back and go, okay, you know what the fuck you're doing. I won't even question what you say. But when they're making fucking $0 and they're in the negative, and then they still try and sell you a fucking storyline, you lose me. You know what I mean? You lose me straight, because I'm there like, fucking, you make things too complicated for something so fucking small.
Rob, it's funny you say that, because I have this belief, and like, that if you're a promoter, you shouldn't, or a booker, you shouldn't be a worker, because I don't feel that many people can separate their personal like interest in, like, they want to be star, booker, promoter. Like, I've only like the most, I think it's you're more successful when you're one or the other.
Correct. They're two separate jobs. But you also, too, you notice the best bookers in professional wrestling weren't the top superstars.
Well, it's funny you say, because we both work for someone who is doing, like, good things with what he's doing. You know what I mean? But we both, I don't want to name who it is, but he's able, he's like, I'm not here to pull myself over. He's here to put someone else over. You know what I mean? Yeah, he's working really hard at that. I think he's doing a great job, because he's personal. He doesn't give a fuck about his character and making sure he's the top star. He wants everyone else to grow. And I think that's why it's successful.
100%. But you know what, guys? I think we are getting to that point, man. We've been going.
I was just about to do that, but you got there before me.
Sorry,
Charles.
Yeah, what, Charles?
Look, I just wanted to hear you boys talk. I love it.
Before we end it, Charles, like, this is the first time that you've been on a podcast with me or anyone, in nearly 2 years. So why don't you wrap it up and you ask the final question? What's the one thing you want to know?
About what?
I don't know. either of the three of us, bro. You're the Charles in charge. You got a question you want to fire off?
Jeez, you put me on the spot.
Sorry, man. Well, not.
All right. Just to the two boys here, how far do you think Piers can go in this industry? Mm-hmm. And where do you realistically see him ending up when he's all said and done? This is it.
Can I go first?
You go first.
Is that right? I think, and I've said this to Piers, like, there's no, like, we're very transparent with each other. I feel that Piers, if he, when I say not picks a side, but Piers puts his foot in, anchors in, and stands up for, like, what he really believes in, he can go far. Now, I understand Piers he's a public figure. You got to, sometimes you got to have everyone on side sometimes, but I feel that sometimes Piers doesn't necessarily say what's in his heart because he's a good person. Like, he's a very good person. Like, take this bullshit away, the manager, the podcast. Like, the man inside is fucking one of the best human beings I've ever met, But if he really says what he wants to say, I think he will fucking skyrocket. You know what I mean? Because what he says a lot of the time is very smart, and it comes from a very well thought place. If you actually listen to him and his reasoning behind things, he makes a lot of sense. And I know he does, and I've seen him come from where he started to where he is now. Now he actually backs himself and he believes in himself, and he's starting to see his fucking value. And I love it. It's like watching my baby grow. It's like the fucking best, I think, the world is his oyster, but I think wrestling might not be the crux of this for him. I think for him, there's more potential in combat sports. Like, who's to say this guy can't be the next fucking Joe Rogan? Who's to say this guy can't be commentating UFC or even his commentary work on pay-per-view when I've done EWA, FWA, AWE with this man? Like, he's very good. He's got talent. I don't think this is it. I think he's going to diversify. And if he, starts to really continue to back himself and believe himself, like, this is a footnote in what's going to be a very, very successful career. And mate, I love you. I wish you well. I enjoy your friendship. I enjoy the professional relationship. I enjoy working with you. And from my heart, bro, I wish you all the success congratulations on 300. And man, I'm going to be here behind you, backing you for the next 300.
Appreciate you, brother.
Bingo.
So you want my opinion? How can I say? He said everything he fucking I want to say.
It's the shits.
It's that and more, pretty much. You know what I mean? The sky's the limit with Piers. You know what I mean? He's building up to be a great manager. He's a great guy. As he said, he's just so versatile, especially on that mic. He's going to be a great announcer. He's going to be a great commentator, and especially in what he said, other things like in combat sports. So you know what? He could even be a sports analyst, in the near future. He's got that potential. He's got that voice. He's just gonna back himself, and he will. You know what I mean? So just a matter of time, and once he gets the opportunities, he'll shit it in. So he'll be great.
100%. No, I agree with that. I agree with that 100%. I think you've got more in you than just the wrestling stuff.
Oh, 100%. No, that wrestling is just a small little window just to help him out.
Exactly.
Like Jesse Ventura said, he wouldn't have been the governor of Minnesota if it wasn't for fucking pro wrestling, because it taught him how to talk, taught him how to do things. So, so you'll go places, don't you worry, if you keep on persisting. And taking the opportunities too. Don't just go, oh, fuck that, I'm not going to go.
And back yourself, baby, the whole way.
100%.
We believe in you. Believe in yourself.
I do, bro. I do. It's
I know
hard
you do.
I've got these amazing people behind you, so I appreciate it.
I know, we're fucking great.
So we've got 10 questions for Piers.
Do I have any more questions for Piers?
No, actually, do the 10 questions. Don't you?
The
do
minute,
10
60 seconds. 60 seconds.
I am so fucking lost right now.
Yeah, the segment he does at the end of the show. All right, can you set 60 seconds, Charles? I'm going to ask Piers 10 quick questions, okay? Or 60 seconds.
Yeah. How do I? Okay, I'm just going to go off the top of my head because I'm using my phone. All right, and go.
60 seconds with Piers. Go.
Okay, we going?
Go.
Let's go.
Okay, peanut butter or jelly?
Peanut butter.
Football or soccer?
Football.
Which
How big's
team?
your dick?
Sorry?
What team? Who do you go for?
Redcliffe Dolphins.
Pick one of your children to take on a spaceship with you and leave the rest on Earth for all of eternity. Which one are you taking?
Amity, my daughter.
Oh, I like that. Who's your favorite client?
Vinnie Vain, baby.
That's my boy. All right, Rob, your turn. Ask some questions.
I already asked it. How big's your dick?
Mate, it's like
inches, centimeters. It doesn't make a difference.
I'm going to say this. It's like John and Kate. The shit is +8.
All right, that's a minute. Well done.
I was going to say I wasn't tipping time at all. I'm sorry, boys.
Well, Charles.
All right, Piers. I'm going to let you wrap this up because you're better than me, and I think I'm just about tapped out.
All right. Well, look, I appreciate everyone for tuning in for episode 300. And mostly, I want to thank the three gentlemen on screen, on mic with me this evening. And that is the Italian stallion, the man with the 3 largest legs in professional wrestling, the one, the only, Robbie Zucco.
We love you, Robert.
Love you.
And the producer to the stars, the backseat bitch himself, Charles.
It's good to be back.
And the one and only, the only real superstar in professional wrestling, the bad guy, Vinnie fucking Vain.
Don't cheer for me. I'm a heel.
And of course, This has been The Truth. Piers Austin signing off, episode 300. We'll catch you again for 301. Make sure you tune in. We'll see you soon. Take care. All the best.
Bye, everyone.